नाही, अजून चालू नाही झालं सर इकडे. मी
ठीक आहे
YouTube पण
सर,
चालू
लाईव्ह
केलं.
गेलोय आपण. बघूया.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I, Tathagat Pagare, welcome you all to the second session of National Level e-FDP program implementing ER 2020 challenges and opportunities organized by MIT's Institute of Pharmacy in association with APTI, Maharashtra State. The speaker for today's session is Dr. Rakesh Somani sir, President of APTI, Maharashtra region. Apart from being the Maharashtra region's president of APTI, Sir is also the principal of D.Y. Patil University's Institute of Pharmacy, Navi Mumbai. Sir has an impeccable experience of 20 plus years in academics. Sir pursued his master's and doctorate in pharmaceutical chemistry. In his academic career, Sir has overall guided many PhD and MPharm students. Sir has also written many books, published articles in national and international journals. We are extremely honored to have Sir's presence. He will be enlightening us today on topics course outcomes, program outcomes, mapping, and attainment. Respected sir, now you may please start with the session for today. The screen is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tathagat, for that kind words and nice introduction. I'm thankful to the MIT Institute of Pharmacy, my friend Dr. Shirsagar, and the entire team for giving me an opportunity to talk today. My beloved topic, particularly about the attainment of the course outcome and the program outcome. So, dear faculty members, I think we all are really very keen to go for the NAC or NBA accreditation. And while doing so, this mapping as well as calculation of attainment is always a matter of concern for all of us. So today in my this particular talk, I am going to give you certain glimpses of how this mapping can be done. There is a disclaimer from my side that these calculations, if you see the engineering people do their calculation in a different way, whereas I have observed, this is my observation, because this must be my 60 plus talk on this particular topic. So what I observed that the calculation methodologies are different in different places. That is in general. Whatever is given into the SAR of NBA or SSR of NAC, with those data, I'm going to give some presentation. There would be certain area where difference of opinion could be there, particularly in the mapping aspects. That also I will try to address. And while doing so, it would be glad if you can ask me the question, because that will sort out your doubt right now. So I am just presenting my slides. I don't know if my presentation is visible. Yeah,
Yes, sir, it's visible.
it's visible.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I changed it. Just a second. If I have to de-share this slide, I have to do remove from studio or remove from stream.
Sir, remove from stream.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, just a second. It is getting uploaded. Just a second. Yeah, hope it is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So the title is COPO mapping and attainment. I will just go to the further topic. So as I said, thanks to the MET for taking this initiative, and this e-FDP is going to be a great success because the participation is also good there. So, dear fellow faculty member, give me 5 or 10 minutes, to talk about what are course outcomes. I understand that majority of you know what is course outcome or what are program outcomes. So, I may repeat some of the aspects, but the repetition sometimes help us to clarify our doubts more. So, this course outcomes nowadays, the syllabi also define it very clearly. Gone are the days where course outcomes were made by the group of faculty members into their different kinds of meetings, and course outcomes were refined over a period of time. But since they are now properly defined by the various regulatory bodies including pharmacy council, what we talk about course outcomes, and they are the clear statements a student should be able to demonstrate upon completion of course. So course is nothing but a subject. So if I'm teaching chemistry, I say I'm teaching a chemistry course. Multiple courses when come together, they form a program. So we have a diploma program, bachelor program, master program, or PhD program, or PharmD program. So all programs are made up of certain courses, and courses are made up of the topics or subtopics for that matter. And then you have learning outcome for each topic. Then you have course outcome for each course, and then you have program outcome for each program. So that is how this entire pyramid is made up of. So these statements are, though they are a statement, but ideally they are very easily accessible and measurable. If they are not measurable, it means we cannot calculate their attainment further. So the statement should be defined in such a way that we can assess them, we can measure them, and then you can use varieties of action verb. So there is typically called as Bloom's taxonomy, which talks about using different kinds of verbs from the lower level, cognitive level, to the highest cognitive level. That is how this Bloom's taxonomy goes on increasing. So you start from define a XYZ concept and end up with the application of that concept. That is how Bloom's taxonomy is. There are other taxonomies also. However, generally Bloom's taxonomy is used in academia to talk about the course outcomes. So ideally speaking, you all should sit together and you should define the statements in such a way that those can be measured. So all these course outcomes of all the courses taught in the Bachelor of Pharmacy program, as you know that it is an 8-semester program. So all this course outcome put together should give you certain program outcomes. So when I say program outcome, it means that after completion of the B.Pharm program, these are the qualities a student should be able to demonstrate, or these are the quality the student should possess after the completion of these 4 years of the program. That is the straightforward layman meaning of program outcome. So they are sometimes broader, because if you see the NAC, the NBA has defined the program outcome. 8 to 12 program outcomes have been defined for various programs by the NBA. So these programs talks about leadership quality, communication skill, lifelong learning, pharmacy practice or pharmacy knowledge, application for society, modern tool uses, etc., etc. These are the varieties of programs. So they are quite broader in the sense, but there are subtopics or narrow statements are also mentioned into program outcome. So we expect that after completion of bachelor program or diploma program, students should be able to demonstrate those qualities. And these program outcomes are mapped with the graduate attributes prescribed by the accrediting agency. It could be NBA, it could be NAC, or any other ABET and those kind of international accrediting agencies. So two things I'm talking about. I'm talking about a program outcome which is well defined, but I'm talking those program outcome goes hand in hand with the graduate attributes. So again, graduate attributes means when I say this guy is a pharmacy graduate, it means he should possess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 qualities into it. And so program outcome is an extension of those 1 to 8 or 1 to 12 qualities defined in that particular program. And so again, they should be also measurable, achievable, and attainable for that matter. It is expected from any academic institution that after the completion of the program outcome, they are supposed to be attained. If they are not attained, it means that there is a problem into the program, there is a problem into the delivery of the program, and so what can be done to overcome those problems? That is how the entire ecosystem of this attainment, what we call it as outcome based education. Today my entire presentation is focused on outcome based education. So this OBE demands that COs should be attained, POs should be attained, and something called as PEO. So PEO are program educational objectives, or something called as PSO, program specific objectives. So those are also there. So these are the statement. I'm talking about PEO. These are the statement which a graduate should be able to attain after 4 to 5 years of his or her graduation. So after 4 to 5 years of graduation, either a graduate he has completed his master's, enrolled for PhD, or probably completed PhD, okay, or probably entered into the profession and is achieving or going into the ladder step by step into the profession. So PEOs and POs are reasonably different, though there could be certain commonalities between the POs and POs, but POs are the outcomes which we expect, or the objectives what we expect after 4 to 5 years of the completion of the program. And multiple, and these POs then contribute for achieving the mission statement and finally achieving the vision of the institution. So vision statement is close to a statement, it's a statement for 15 to 20 or more than that years for an institution, generally led by the management and various stakeholders, whereas mission statement is nothing but the path to attain that vision. And how you will attain your vision? By following a mission. Here the statements of PEOs come into picture. That is how this entire ecosystem. And so if you see this particular picture which talks about that, it starts with a vision with a dot and then expand it to COs. So COs appears to be at the lowest of the pyramid, but they are the base of this pyramid, and based on the CO you can attain the vision of the institution in 15 to 20 years down the line. And that is how this, all of them are correlated. That's why this system is called as outcome based education system. And so I go to further talking about how the COs and POs are correlated and what kind of correlation can be established. So when I say correlation, I need to understand how I do mapping of that, because both of them are interconnected. The COs and POs are interconnected, as we just now saw. So how to map? So before mapping, you need to first define the mapping levels of the COs as well as POs. So here I am showing one particular table which talks about mapping level, low mapping level to high mapping level, or slightly mapping to substantially mapping. Ideally speaking, there should be a situation where there should not be a situation where there is no mapping. So because if it is not mapping, then what for it is into the syllabi? Okay, so that is also very, very important. Or otherwise, your CO statements are not correctly defined. So please understand that either it should be low mapping or it should be high mapping. It should not be no mapping. So there is no situation where there is no mapping between the CO statements and your outcome, or PO statements and your other outcome. I will explain you this more in detail as we proceed further. So there could be 3 levels of mapping, and there are prescribed 3 levels: lower, medium, high. 1, 2, 3, 3 being the high. So once we know that these are the mapping levels, then we talk about when these should be assessed. And as I already mentioned, that generally course outcomes are to be assessed or measured soon after the completion of course. It means a first year semester 1 examination is conducted, result is declared. Soon after the declaration of the result, you should have your tools defined. We are going to talk about those tools later. So tools defined, and based on that you understand the course outcomes. You see what is the outcome of the courses. Then soon after the completion of the graduation of the one particular batch, result is declared. You analyze the data from first year to final year of that particular batch. first year to final year of that particular batch, analyze the data, put it to the tools, use the Excel sheets for those calculations, and then you see whether your program outcomes are achieved or not. So immediately after the graduation, the results are declared. And as I said, 4 to 5 years, so you collect the alumni data, where your alumni are now, what are they contributing into the into the field, collect that data and see whether your program specific objectives or program educational objectives are achieved or not. Why? Because if you see that, if you say that my POs are achieved, then you can say that I am on the right path, I'm on the right track to achieve my vision statement, which I am going to achieve next 15 to 20 years down the line. And that's why accessibility of the course outcome, program outcome is very, very important, and right time accessibility is more important. So when we talk about accessibility, or when you talk about the calculation of attainment, so there are multiple aspects which I can talk about, but since the topic today is more about the mapping and importantly the attainment calculation, I am going to give more focus on how to calculate this COs and POs, because it is perceived that it is the most difficult part into the accreditation process. However, if you do it in a very systematic manner, I think it is not at all difficult. Only a little bit knowledge of the, knowledge of Excel is very, very important for every faculty member to do these calculations. And I firmly believe that there is no need to purchase a heavyweight softwares for doing the COPO attainment calculations, provided your faculties are sincere enough to understand the Excel and use those Excel sheet in their day-to-day life. If this condition is required, then software is not at all required. That is how these attainment calculations are going to be simple. I'll be giving you certain demonstrative examples of those attainment calculation today. So my dear friends, faculty members, before you talk about attainment, you please have to understand what are the tools by which you calculate the attainment of the particular course outcome or POs for that matter. So step one in attainment calculation is to define the tools. You have two types of tools, direct tools and indirect tools. Direct tools means these are the tools which has numbers and which directly come from very visible sources. For example, examination. So a student getting marks, XYZ marks into semester examination or sessional examination, we know. So those marks are the numbers. So numbers are easily, can be taken directly for the calculation. So direct assessment tools, these are the tools which can be directly used into your attainment calculation. So quizzes, tutorial, assignments, marks from the projects, marks from the presentation, you can have your multiple tools. Apart from this, whatever activities I mentioned, if you are conducting any other activity by means of which you are going to assess your student for attainment of the COs or POs, you can take those tools as a direct tools. But only ensure that where you are giving the quantitative data for the assessment, if you are able to give the quantitative data, then only you call it as a direct tool. So direct means quantitative. If there is no quantitative data, then you don't call it as a direct tool, you call it as a indirect tool. I have given an example here. For example, student attending in-plant training. Now, in certain cases I observed, people consider in-plant training also as a direct tool, because there they give marks to that. Now, I have my own thought in this. If they are giving the marks, then whether these marks are jointly given by you as a faculty and the external person from the industry where the student is reporting. If that is happening, and if you are regularly monitoring the student, 3 months, 4 months, whatever the industry training period is, 3 months particularly, if you are regularly monitoring him or her, then only you have a capability to give the marks. If not, then how can you assess a student just by mere giving a presentation after the 3-month training? Doesn't give a clear-cut idea about what knowledge he has attained during his in-plant training. So to my opinion, this in-plant training could be indirect tool of assessment, but there could be a difference of opinions where people have put indirect in-plant training into direct tool. Also, it all depends upon how you perceive it and how you prove it that this is a quantitative data coming from this particular. Then there are some surveys, particularly, generally there is a thumb rule. Indirect tool means surveys. Okay, so varieties of surveys you can take. You can increase more number of tools also, you can decrease the tools. Please understand one thing, more number of tools means more complications in the calculation, more difficult into the calculation. So number of tools should be as less as possible, or I will not use the word as less, I will say as precise as possible. Because if you increase more number of tools, then their subheading while attainment calculation will be also increasing, and it may pose a challenge for you. So it is better to have very precise tools and less number of tools. So external examiner survey, many times students, I mean the students are appearing for the external examiner in the practical examination for that particular course. Typically this external examiner survey is used for the course outcome attainment of the practical subjects or practical courses. Guest lecture, sometimes you plan beyond syllabus curriculum, beyond syllabus talks during the academic session. So student attending those sessions, and from that whatever feedback you collect, based on that feedback analysis also, you can calculate the course outcome. So these are some tools from the varieties of sources. You can increase the tools, you can decrease those tools, but it all depends upon how you are ready to do the calculation. So this is what I spoke about in terms of CO. Now in terms of PO, if you see, I'm going to talk about the indirect assessment tools. Now, direct assessment tools of the POs would remain more or less same, because there you talk about the end semester examination marks. Then in the program outcomes, you also talk about the collective outcome of all the courses. So varieties of direct tools. More importantly, I will focus on the indirect assessment tool for the program outcome attainment calculation. What are those? One is alumni survey. Now you will say, what is the definition of alumni? Because program outcomes are taken from the students soon after their graduation, right? So if you're collecting this data 3 to 4 months down the line, after the batch is graduated, and as obviously they becomes the alumni, result is declared, they are into their field, either into profession or into the higher education, that time you take up the survey from them, and that's why we call it as a alumni survey. Then there is exit survey. Ideally speaking, this survey is to be taken when the student is passing out his semester 8 examination. While he is into the college itself, this survey should be taken. This is called as program exit survey. The student is going out, and the questions what you make, and this is very important point here, for program outcome calculations or attainment calculations, the program exit survey is very important tool, and the questions what you use into program exit survey all depends upon the program outcome defined by the accreditation agency. So there are 8 to 10 or particularly 8 program outcomes, suppose. So you need to define your question in such a way that you get a idea of the attainment of from those reply. So questions should be precise. The options given to those questions should be precise, and based on that your calculations also become easy. So this program exit survey is important. Then there is something called as feedback on the curriculum. Now program exit survey and curriculum feedback both are different. Program exit survey is based on the program outcome defined by the accrediting agency, whereas curriculum feedback is typically a feedback exclusively on the curriculum part. So you can ask a question that whether during your curriculum did you learn certain modern upcoming science like artificial intelligence. So based on that, if yes, what was the component of that? So based on that, you take the curriculum feedback. So whether your curriculum is enriched curriculum or it is just a curriculum prescribed by the regulatory body, and the blindly you're following that curriculum. Generally in the affiliated system, affiliated colleges, the curriculum is prescribed by the regulatory body, and that curriculum is naturally being blindly followed. But in the system where independent department affiliated to deemed universities are concerned, then in that case, they have the flexibility to add or enrich the curriculum. In that case, this curriculum feedback plays a very important role, or plays an important tool for attainment of program outcome calculations. The next is employer feedback. Again, as I said, this employer feedback could be after 5 to 6 months, 7 months, or 8 months down the line. And if you are conducting the data, collecting the data of the last batches, then it will be better you collect the employer feedback at least 1 year after the student is employed into that particular organization. And please understand that the student giving feedback should be working into that organization at least for 1 year. Otherwise, the employer will not be able to give appropriate feedback. So these are certain tools by which you can collect the varieties of feedback. Just a second. Yeah. So whatever I said is mentioned in the particular table. Hello? Did I lose the track? I mean, my slides are not visible. Anyone there?
Yes, it's visible now.
What has happened? I don't know. It's clearly visible now?
Yes, sir, totally.
Okay. So I was talking about these various surveys and their, various tools and their frequency when you need to collect and what are they going to contribute. For example, program exit survey, you can collect after the program is completed and whatever I was mentioned about those. And these are the attributes why you want to collect those. I'm coming to this important point now, setting up the target. And this is a matter of concern for every institution, that what a target. Of course, in the present SAR, these targets are well defined by the regulators or by the accrediting agencies. But there is a possibility that you may change this target based upon what attainment level you have achieved. So what you do, you ideally do the calculation, understand what kind of attainment you have done. And if your attainments are really beautiful, really high attainment, then probably your targets can also be changed. So what do you mean by target? So there are 3 levels in the target. So level 3 target, level 2 target, and level 1. It means low target where the attainment of the outcomes are low, attainments of outcome are moderate, and they are very high or substantial. In that case, you define the target level based on the varieties of numbers. What is that? For example, when I set my target, 50% students, and please note this point very seriously, I am saying a statement that 50% student getting greater than average mark in the respective subject. This is the target I have set for myself as a level 1 target. So you will ask me, can I do that? Can I say 40% student getting greater than average marks? Answer is yes. In a very ideal situation, you can do so. Okay, you can do so. But it is always better to take that minimum, take that criteria where your reflection in the attainment calculation is also attractive reflection. It means it is not good to say 40% or 45%. If you start from 50%, then at level 1 50%, level 2 60%, and level 3 70%. In the next subsequent year, you can say level 1 55%, level 2 65%, level 3 75%. In its next subsequent year, you can increase the target. So it shows that there is a continuous improvement in attainment of the outcomes. That is also achieved. And importantly, you are also, by means of the ecosystem which you have developed in the institution, the academic delivery, the academic program, by means of which your attainment is also increasing, because you are increasing the target. So targets are increasing, attainment increasing. So there is a continuous improvement happening. So there are institutions where for 4 years, 5 years, same targets are kept. That is not expected out of the outcome based education. What is expected is that your attainment target setting should also have an incremental growth in the targets. Otherwise, if it doesn't have incremental growth in the target, that means there is a lethargy in terms of delivery of the program, and probably you are not very aggressively working on that particular agenda. This is what is the interpretation of those particular points. So as I said in the note, there is no specific criteria for target setting. It is all based on data available and course coordinator. Course coordinator means the subject teacher has a flexibility of the same. Now again, this statement should not be taken in toto as such, that subject course coordinator has the flexibility of the same. When I say so, it means he or she can define that this time my curriculum, if many times when the curriculum changes, then there are changes into the level of the curriculum also. That time course coordinator will say that, no, look, I don't want to change my target level because this year the curriculum is little bit difficult. So whatever target level was last year, the same target level I would like to keep this year. That is also acceptable. But if the curriculum is keeping same, remaining same for a good number of years, then there is a need to change the target. And if you're not changing the target, it means there is no incremental growth, no progress is happening. That is the meaning of that. That's why setting up the target, and so for that you have to do reverse engineering. You set minimum target, do your calculations, proper calculations, see what is your attainment level, and if you see that with minimum target your attainment level is very good, then you change the target, and then from that year onward you can keep. However, it is a policy decision between the organization to organization whether the target can be kept for 2 years or 3 years. You can keep the target same. Also, there is difference of opinion in terms of whether subject to subject, course to course, targets could be different. For example, subject like organic chemistry becomes a challenging subject for the student of pharmacy, whereas some other subject could be easy for them to score. So if a teacher keep this kind of target which I have shown 50, 60, 70, then probably for those some subjects always they will attain level 3 because 70% students are going to get the good marks into those subjects. But subject like organic chemistry, or for that matter any other subject where difficulty level is high in the curriculum, then that kind of subject will always have attainment level 1. Then in that case, teacher or the course coordinator or as a policy decision maker, you will not be able to increase the attainment level also. So please understand, there has to be a lot of debate and discussion among the department in the advisory board or advisory departmental advisory committee, DAC, what we call it as. That kind of discussion should happen in the DAB, departmental advisory board, that what kind of attainment level should be taken. But it is suggested that incremental growth after 1 year or 2 years should be done as far as setting the targets are concerned. So here I have just put up some case study or example, the set attainment level for the first batch. So there is a batch of student entering into course at 2013 and exiting out at 2017. So what is there? So 1.5 attainment level for theory courses and 2 for laboratory courses. And once you proceed for the next batches, the attainment level can change. I will give you with the help of example. We will talk about this particular point when I show you a table. I go back to the tools again. Now, two things we spoke. One is tools, and second we spoke about the defining the target levels. So, what is the target level? I mean, whether it is 1, 2, or 3. Now comes very important point, that what kind of weightage is to be given to direct tool and indirect tool. So this is very, very important point in calculus. Again, as I said, you do a minimum calculation first, and based on that, you please reverse engineering. Based on that, you can change your direct and indirect tools. Now the accrediting agency into their SAR and SSR, these tools and their weightages is also prescribed. 80, 20, 70, 30, 60, 40. This kind of weightage is there. So what is that? So for example, assessment tool, I have taken 2 assessment tools. Please look into the slide. One is end semester examination and another is internal assessment. These are my 2 direct assessment tools I have taken for assessing a theory course. Right? Direct means I am getting directly numbers from that. So end semester examination, the result of end semester examination comprises of weightage of 70%. Means whatever result I get, out of that only 70% will be considered in the attainment calculation. I am not going to take that as a 100%. Why? Because it is not only course outcome we have to achieve, it is also program outcome which are to be achievable or which has to be achieved. And program outcome doesn't come only from the courses. They also come from varieties of activities. Means, for example, if a student is taking part into sports activity or cultural activity, any competition kind of thing, then the certain program outcome like say leadership development or working in the team as a team player, those kind of qualities come from participation of a student into varieties of extracurricular or co-curricular activities. So there has to be a weightage given to those kind of activities also into the program outcome calculation. And that's why indirect tool has its own importance. Indirect tool calculations is to also to be considered. So here what we are talking about in this particular slide, we are talking about that I decide this way, that direct tool say 70 or 80% based on again what is the result you have got, and indirect tool 20 or 30%. Now out of this 70% of direct tool, I am taking two sub tools. One is EAC, end semester exam, and another is IA. Now this internal assessment or IA comprise of varieties of heads. What are those? Quiz is there, then student teacher interaction, attendance, and mid semester kind of exam, that is periodic test. These are there. So what I do now, so out of that major 70%, I divide that 70% into two sub tools. What are those? One is end semester exam, other is IA. Again, this end semester exam is given only 70% weightage and IA is given 30%. There could be a difference of opinion. You may say, can I have 60 or 40? Answer is yes, ideally yes. Accrediting body says 80-20. 60-40, yes, it could be also, provided your quiz, STI attendance is rigorously monitored and the data is nicely prepared. If not, then it is recommended that 70-30 is a standard process. Means the weightage to end semester examination is 70% and weightage to IA is 30%. Somebody will ask me, can I reverse it? Since my semester examination result for a particular course is very, very bad, say organic chemistry, so can I give only 30% to end semester examination and 70% to internal assessment? Answer is straightforward, no, you cannot do so. Because if he is not getting good results, he is not able to produce good result into the examination, it means his pharmacy knowledge, which is very important tool, a very important program outcome, is not able to achieve, and hence weightage for end semester examination will always be double or little bit more than the internal assessment. So while selecting the tools for the direct assessment and while giving the weightage to them, all these discussion should happen in the departments or department to department. This 70-30, 80-20 can also be. But as far as the B.Pharm program is concerned, it is better to have a uniform policy for the entire program. So for practical examination, you can have other assessment tool, for example, which is mentioned here. And so there could be rubrics also. So this is rubric is typically for when you have say criteria like student teacher interaction. How can I calculate student teacher interaction? Is it because I have a good relationship with the student, or student always respect me, say good morning, good evening whenever I pass through him or nearby him? Is it based on that you are going to give marks to student teacher interaction, or you are defining certain criteria based on which this marks of STI can be given? And so what are those criteria? For that, this is called as rubrics. So you need to define rubric. So typically rubric is used for those tools where there is no quantitative data coming directly. So rubric is typically for the qualitative kind of data, as I told, student teacher interaction. So or even during the practical, when we give marks for journal writing. So what is the how to give the marks for journal writing? So based on that, these rubrics can be defined. So it is not that 2 marks you have to simply give as such, or journal, if you have written a journal, give 2 marks. If you have not written a journal, give 0 mark. That is also not right, because journal writing is a continuous process, and so as a part of continuous assessment, there has to be a marks given to every step, and that's why rubric come into picture. So whether the conceptual clarity is there, whether he's writing the journal regularly, whether he plans his practical properly, if the answer of this all three question is in the scale of 3, then you give 3 marks, 2 marks, 1 mark, and then you accumulate all those data, and calculate the data for the student teacher interaction. Generally, for marks for student teacher interactions are very low, less, that is 2 or 3 marks. Then the question comes, for 2 or 3 marks, am I supposed to do those many calculations? The answer is yes, because these 2 and 3 marks also are contributing up to certain extent for CO attainment calculation as well as PO attainment calculation. And so what I am trying to say here, that all the qualitative data is to be converted into quantitative data in some or the other format. Rubric is one method by which a qualitative data is converted into quantitative data. These are some rubrics I'm just putting in front of you. So here, rubric for STI, interaction response in a student, interact regularly, responses you, what is his mannerism, whether he's attentive in the lab, whether he's punctual or disciplined. Based on that, if always, give 3 marks, if frequently, give 2 marks, or if there is a combination 3 to 1, 1 to 3, whatever. So these are the rubrics. So I repeat, rubrics are to be taken for those area where direct quantitative data is not available. So this is a very important document now. So now what we have done, we have defined the tools, we have defined the weightages, we have defined the levels. When you complete all these 3 things, tools are defined, weightage is given, and the levels are decided. Then what you do, you collect all this data in one Excel sheet. So here I am just giving an example of 10 students, roll number 1 to roll number 10. Their names are mentioned ABC, and this is a subject code or course code. Suppose, and I am talking about CO attainment calculation for a direct tools. So there are 2 tools we just mentioned: internal assessment 30% weightage and semester examination 70% weightage. Internal assessment is divided into other 4 parameters as we discussed in the previous slide. So this 18 marks out of 30 has come from those 4 parameters of the internal assessment, which also include your sessional examination. Now you have got this data, which is quantitative data. Absolutely, you find out the average marks. So a student has got, so these are the 21.4 and 40.2 average marks in the semester as well as internal assessment examination. So now, if you remember the previous slide where I told you, I will come back on that slide later on. You go back to this slide and see this statement here, set attainment level calculation. So here some attainment levels are decided, that for a specific batch, my lower attainment is 3, 2, 1, whatever attainment level you have decided. Now you know that you have decided attainment level, particular level for a specific batch. Now you come to this. How many number of students are having marks more than the average marks? So you have written 6 and 7. So what is the percentage? 6 students means out of 10, 6 students have got more than the average marks. 60% is the percentage. So now I have defined, based on that attainment criteria, 60% student means level 2, 70% student level 3, 50% student level 1, 40%. Suppose here if you get 40%, that it means there is no attainment at all. It means your level what you have set are probably high, or probably there is 0 score here. Both options are available. There is a score 0. So level of attainment based on the target set, 60% means 2 and 70% means 3. Now comes to very important part. What is the weighted attainment level? You have given 30% weightage to internal assessment. So 30% weightage. So out of 2 attainment level, that's why 30%. What is the 30% of this 2 level of attainment? 0.6. So here this 30 and here is 2. So it is 0.6. And what is the weightage given to end semester examination? 70% weightage. What you have got? 3 level. So 70 into 3%, that is 2.1. So your weighted attainment level is 2.1. 7 3s are 21. Based on that, 2.1 means, it means you have now clubbed together the attainment level as well as what exactly attainment you have obtained. Based on those calculation, you calculate weighted attainment level. So what is the weight given to attainment 2? 30%, that's why 0.6. What is the weight given to attainment 3? 70%, that's why 2.1. Based on that, these weighted attainment level calculations are done. So this we have done for the direct tool. Similar way, you can do it for the indirect tool also. Now, I go back to mapping. Now, once you do the calculation for attainment, direct and indirect, now come into picture the mapping level. And this is very, very interesting part, because how you map a particular course outcome with a particular program outcome, that defines or that is the gamut in this entire attainment calculation. So I'll explain you certain mapping. This is a table where I have taken certain courses and defined their course outcome. Generally, every course has got 4 to 5 or 6 course outcome. As I said, course outcome should start from define and ends with the application. That is how is the level of the course outcome as per the Bloom's taxonomy. Now, these 6 courses, and you have got program outcome 1 to 11. As I said, there are 8 program outcome into the new NBA guidelines. What I am referring is to 11 program outcome which were in the old guideline. Whatever, if there are 8, you talk about 8. Now, suppose I'm just referring pharmacy knowledge. Program outcome number 1 is pharmacy knowledge. Now, if your course, please understand, course is pharmacognosy. If your course is giving you knowledge regarding pharmacy subject, it means the course outcome 1 is completely directly mappable with program outcome 1. So mapping level is 3. So mapping level 3 means highest mapping with the statement of the course outcome with the statement of the program outcome. So generally, the first program outcome is pharmacy knowledge. So pharmacy knowledge will comprises of high mapping level with all the subjects from where the pharmacy knowledge is coming out. Direct pharmacy knowledge. There are certain courses like, say, entrepreneurship. Now, entrepreneurship course, whether it is giving you pharmacy knowledge directly, no. Entrepreneurship course is giving you peripheral knowledge about the industry, how to go about starting a business. So in that case, the course outcome of entrepreneurship subject will not directly map with the pharmacy knowledge. So either there will be no mapping as far as the content of the syllabus are concerned, or there will be least mapping, one mapping. So if you see here in this table, certain columns are completely blank. Blank means there is no mapping. So for example, there is another leadership skills. Now, if cognitive subject, theory subject, is not having any content regarding leadership skill, PO8, so it's not mapping. So what I have done, I have simply kept it blank. So you have to debate, discuss in the department, with the subject teachers, with the head of the department, so that these mapping levels can, and this is a very important crux. If your mapping levels are high and your attainment is low, then your overall calculation goes down. Or if vice versa is there, then you get a highest attainment. And if your attainment is 90%, 100% attainment, then there is no scope for the continuous improvement also. So this is very, very important point, how to map a course outcome. So this mapping level needs a discussion. For example, what about 2? 2 means what? That the mapping is there. So out of 6 course outcomes, 3 course outcomes are mapping with that particular program outcome. 2 are not mapping. Then in that case, or 3 are not mapping, in that case, it is neither high nor low. That's why I'm saying 2 mapping level. So for every program outcome, every course outcome should be mappable. So if there are 10 courses and 6 course outcome in one course, those 60 rows you have to make, along with all those PO 1 to 8 or 1 to 11 POs you have to make, and based on that, this entire sheet will prepare. And everything this you could do into Excel sheet, where lot of formula you can apply so that you get average. So if you see here in the bold numbers, these bold numbers are nothing but average. 3 is the average of PO. So PO1 mapping 3, PO3 mapping 3, PO5 mapping 2, PO7 mapping 1.5 because average is 1.5, PO9 mapping 2. That is how you do the calculation for all kinds of program. So there are, suppose 50 subjects, 6 POs, so 300 rows will be there and 8 columns will be there. The 300 rows with 8 columns, every subject has to be discussed as far as the mapping is concerned, theory as well as practical. So all this entire big kind of calculation in the Excel sheet will happen, and based on that, you calculate the average mapping of every subject, average mapping of every course. that average mapping is very, very important for the calculation thereof. So these are what I am just showing some other subjects. So here what I do now, I now collect all the courses and their average mapping with that particular program into one single sheet now. So here I am giving DPG1 to DPG6. So all courses and their average mapping with all the program outcomes are put forward here. So 2.33 somewhere, 2.3 somewhere, I mean 1.5 somewhere, completely 3 somewhere. So this is how is mapping. And this mapping, if it is nicely done after the debate, after the discussion, then your calculations becomes easy, because now based on this mapping, level of mapping only, you do the attainment calculation further. And so now your if you see here CO scores, 2.7. Now these are the CO attainment score. How the CO attainment scores have come? If you go back to the slide here, CO attainment scores have come from this particular slide, where whether it is attainment level 2, 3, and what is the average attainment level. Based on that you decide. So here I come back to this CO scores, means they have come from direct, direct and indirect attainment. These are the variety of course which has the average attainment, which has come from the various courses. Now what I do, I completely collate this data for the PO attainment also and for the CO attainment. You please see the title of this slide very carefully. The title talks about PO attainment calculation through direct, that is courses, which just now I showed in the previous slide. So this data I get from the individual courses, and it comes from the direct means end semester examination. Whatever end semester examination result is there, that result I consider, give the weightage to it, and calculate the weighted average, and then combine all those weightage average in this particular slide. So this is similar slide as what we saw for the CO attainment. I am showing this slide to you for the PO attainment. This is only for the direct program. So the same way as we did the average CO attainment, I am now showing you the average PO attainment. So all the POs are kept together and their average 2.2. Here I am 2.2, 0.78, 2.1. Here PO4, there is no mapping. Through direct there is no mapping, and that's why importance of indirect come into picture. See, please understand, this is the entire curriculum. This particular slide talks about a gap in the curriculum. It says that your curriculum do not contribute for the PO4 attainment. Your curriculum do not contribute for PO10 attainment. Your curriculum do not talk about PO11 attainment. That is direct tool. So from where you will get data for PO4, PO10, PO11? It comes from the indirect tool. Means it comes from co-curricular, extracurricular, and other kind of activities. And that's why this particular slide is very, very important. So you calculate average PO attainment, and then for the same reason you do the weightage average. We have decided in the tools that for PO attainment, for direct 80% weightage, for indirect say 20% weightage. So if it is 80%, then 80% of 2.22, 80% of 0.78, 80% of 2.12. That is how this 80% is calculated, and these numbers are written here. Hope I'm making a sense here, because I'm not able to interact with people, so I really don't understand, don't know whether you are understanding what I'm talking. And so what I did, I brought this similar kind of setup for the indirect tool, that is the survey. So what I did in a particular, say for example, program exit survey. In program exit survey, I asked 4 or 5 questions, converted those 4 or 5 questions into number. Those numbers I understood their weightage, and based on that weightage, I have given the mapping with the program outcome with those questions and this data. Similar way, the way we did CO attainment or the way we did PO attainment for direct tool, see in the similar manner, I am showing you the PO attainment for the indirect tool. Only indirect tool could be surveys or could be any other activities which doesn't give you the quantity directly in the first. And then we convert that quality data into quantity data in terms of the rubric or other method, and you get the average. Now please understand, I go back to the slide. I have a data for the PO attainment through the direct mode. I go to the next slide. I have data for PO attainment through indirect mode. Both the data is available to me. So I collect it. For 80% already I have done. For 20% I am doing it. Based on that numbers, I think this slide is not properly seen. So say it's a similar way, only the weightage will vary for the 20%, 80%, whatever data get, and I get this number. This slide is your summary slide. So total PO attainment. So please understand 2.2, when I say that 2.22 has come from the direct tool, it means all the direct tools like end semester examination is able to contribute only 2.22 level with program outcome 1. It means, suppose when I say 0.4 for an indirect tool here, it means all the indirect tools are contributing 0.4 at PO1. And this the indirect tool value will always be lesser than the direct tool value, because we have given less weightage to indirect tool, that is 20% weightage or 30% weightage. Weightage to indirect tool will always be less and weightage to direct tool will always be high. The direct tool weightage will be 2 to 2.5 or 3 times more than the indirect tool. It will again vary. Okay, but you need to collate all those direct indirect data in one single sheet in the Excel sheet, like here direct and indirect. And now what I have done, 2.22 plus 0.4, I get 2.62. This is total PO score. And if my level of attainment is 2, then I say my program 1 outcome is achieved. My program PO1 is attained. If, say for example, PO8, 1.4, if my target for PO8 is 2, or if it is 1, level 1 is 1 only, then I say that my PO8 is attained at level 1. Or PO10 is attained at level 2 or level 3. So I need to define the level of attainment of POs also. PO1, what is your desire? For example, PO1 is always a pharmacy knowledge. I will expect that all students should have 3 level of attainment. Now here it is 2.62. 2.62 is more than 2 but less than 3. So I say that level of attainment is not 3. So that it is not highest. It is more than the middle level of attainment. So probably next time when setting a target, I should say that next time in the next subsequent academic year, my PO attainment level should be 3. That is how there is a scope for the continuous improvement. You need to identify the gaps based on the attainment mapping, and when you say that a particular PO is not attained through courses, then what best I can give so that a particular PO can be attained through any other direct methodology, and that is how these calculations go on increasing. And so this is just an example of a PO attainment. How much time I have? Can anyone tell me? I think only 2-3 slides are there. How much time I have?
So 5 minutes, I guess.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So this is a example or a case study I'm putting to you here, that how a program outcome can be attained using an indirect tool. So as I said, indirect tool typically comes from varieties of surveys. So for example, I have taken 4 surveys: alumni survey, employer survey, exit survey, and curricular survey. And there is a disclaimer: more the number of tools, more is the difficulty in the calculation. So one has to keep into the mind very carefully. So can I have 2 tools? Yes, answer is yes, provided you have a good amount of data. Can I have 1 tool? Answer is no, at least you have to have 2 tools. Okay, so what I did, that this all indirect tools, 4 indirect tools, I equally divided them. I did not say that alumni survey is more important to me than curriculum survey, and so weightage to alumni survey is higher than the curriculum. I am not saying that. What I am saying that all these tools have equal weightage, and so 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. So this is a table which comes. Now I am asking 3 questions or 4 questions or 5 questions pertaining to their PO mapping. This data I come after the asking the question 3 to 1. Then I calculate the average. The similar way I explain you CO attainment average calculation. The same way you do the PO attainment average calculation for direct as well as indirect tool. So I did the average out 2.33. Now my weightage to this particular activity is only 20%, indirect tool 20%, direct tool 80%, or sometimes 30%, 70%. Here, what I am showing in this table, weighted indirect PO attainment 20%. Suppose it is 30%, then 30% of 2.33 I would have taken here. Since it is 20% of 2.33, so it is 0.47. That is how these numbers have come. And then what I do now, I just multiply this 0.47 by 0.25, and what I get is this. I mean the weightage, sorry, the 0.47 divided by 4. 0.47 divided by 4. Based on, because the weightage is 0.25 divided by 4, and so I get 0.12. So actual contribution of exit survey in attaining the indirect tool for PO1 is only 0.12. It is not 0.47, because the weightage what I have given in the definition here is 0.25. If I would have given here 0.5 alumni survey plus 0.5 employer survey, then this 0.47 would have been divided by 2, and whatever number I get there, that I would have written. But since the weightage is given 0.25, I have to divide 0.47 by 4 so that I get 0.12. That is how your tools contribute. Tools and the weightage, the weight given to tools contribute. More number of tools, more complications in the weight calculations. Less number of tools, less easy it is to calculate. So ideally speaking, for direct tools, 2 tools you should use, and for indirect tool, 2 tools you should use, and for direct tools 2 or 3 tools you can use, because they are numbers. So even if you use 3 tools there, it becomes easy for us to calculate the number using the Excel sheet, and that is how this calculation can be done. This is likewise you conduct for alumni employer survey. Now what I did those individual calculation for all 4 and collected them together in this particular table. So this table talks about all these 4 surveys data coming from that weighted average of 25%, and then I add up all of them, 0.12, 0.07, 0.12, 0.30, I add up all of them, and I get 0.44. So 0.44 is the program outcome attainment through indirect tools. Now I get from direct tools, I get from indirect tool, and so I simply add up them. From direct plus indirect, I get the direct attainment level. That is how this COPO mapping and attainment. And please understand, my dear faculty members, it is a long topic. One-to-one, sitting and the calculation gives more clarity about the topic. So this COPO attainment help us to identify the gaps, plan for the activities to bridge the gaps, and further improve our teaching methodology. Because if nothing is mappable from the course outcome with the program outcome, it means there is a gap into the curriculum, and that gap into the curriculum can be bridged by conducting several activities. That is how this entire attainment calculation goes on. I hope my acknowledgement to my faculty, Mr. Pratik, who helped me in shaping up this presentation. Thank you so much to all of you, and thanks to all those who organized this event program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a nice explanation. Sir, we have certain
sir.
questions.
Yeah, please.
तथागत,
Yes, sir. Yes.
आवाज तुझा माईक बंद आहे तथागत.
No, I am able to hear him.
आवाज येत नाहीये तुझा.
Sir, it's audible, sir. Yeah.
ओके सॉरी. हा ठीक आहे.
Sir, we had
yes okay
questions.
yes
So, Sucharita is asking us, is there any general rule for fixing COPO level as per Bloom's level?
Bloom's level doesn't talk about COPO level, so don't get confused with the Bloom's level. Bloom's taxonomy talks about the verbs to be used for the cognitive understanding. So lower Bloom's level means define the meaning of XYZ terminology, and higher Bloom's level means application of that particular subject. So I don't know, this question is not proper question. The question should have been, what are the levels for the Bloom's? So there are 5 to 6 Bloom's level which have been mentioned for defining the course outcome, for shaping up the course outcome. Those verbs mentioned in the Bloom's taxonomy should be used.
Okay. Sir, we had certain common questions, such as the participants are asking for the level of mapping to be repeated once again, sir.
Level of
Mapping.
So as I said, there are 3 levels of mapping prescribed by the accreditation agency. What are those? Level 3 means highest mapping. level 2 medium mapping, and level 1 lowest mapping. And there should not be anything which is not at all mappable per se, as far as the course outcome is concerned. So 3, 2, 1, these are the 3 levels of mapping.
Okay. And sir, what are the points to be added in program exit survey?
Very nice question.
Yes.
Program exit survey talks about the entire knowledge, entire graduate attributes a student has achieved during the program. Now, what are those graduate attributes? One is that whether the student is able to gain the pharmacy knowledge, subject knowledge, whether he is able to understand, whether the student also understood through the program curriculum or through the activities conducted in the college during the 4 years, what is the scope available for him or her after completion of the course, whether he was able to develop that leadership skill, whether he was exposed to use of modern tools, like for example using the UV spectrophotometer, using the spray dryer at undergraduate level, using the IR at undergraduate, whether he was exposed to those. So program exit survey talks about what kind of exposure a student received during his 4-year study.
Okay.
So there could be varieties of questions. I can tell you 10, 20 questions right now. Those can be asked, but you need to ask precisely 4 to 5 questions based on the program outcome. So if you read the program outcome statement prescribed by NAC, or sorry, prescribed by NBA, you will come to define, you will be easily able to define the statement of the program exit survey. And as I said, program exit survey is different than curriculum survey. Curriculum survey only talks about curriculum. Program exit survey talks about curriculum plus the extracurricular things which he has or she has acquired during the 4 years of history.
Okay. So we had one more question. Is there any specific criteria in target setting for COPO attainment?
It is given. NBA has already given. In the old SAR, there was no criteria, so it was very easy for the institution to set its own criteria. However, in the new SAR, the criteria is already given. You have to generally stick to that criteria. And if you are not sticking to that criteria and you are deviating, you should have a justification why you are deviating. Because 80-20, that weightage is given, that criteria, attainment level criteria is also prescribed by the NBA.
Okay, sir. So it was a very nice session from you. And
I don't know how many of them really could understood in this 1 year, because it takes a lot of time to explain with varieties of case studies and all that. But I tried my level best. I hope they could get something from that.
Hello. So one more point in the YouTube link again, we have one discussion amongst the participants that can we have a model Excel sheet for preparation or calculation of these COPO attainments and all. Do we have any certain data related to this or
You
something?
have to prepare yourself.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there are 2 ways by which attainment calculations are done. One
Uh-huh.
is, as I showed you my slides, each slide has come from the Excel sheet. It is a copy of the Excel
Okay.
sheet only. Either there are ready-made software available in the market where you put the numbers and it gives you the data. But as I already said, that I don't recommend the software, because the things which you can easily do with the Excel sheet, why to go with the software? And
Right.
Excel sheet gives you multiple opportunities to manipulate the data manipulate means not in a negative sense, but manipulate data in such a way that your attainment calculation also you can understand clearly before you define and fix it.
True, sir. Perfect. Thank you.
sir, I sincerely thank you for giving us a valuable time.
Subhani sir, thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity given.
No, it was a nice talk. Though we were practicing, but we got to know some new tools from your side also.
Yeah, it is always a learning, for all
Yeah,
of
that's
us.
right. That's why I said.
Yes, thank you.
How? Tathagat. Huh.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, sir, once again. So this e-FDP program is organized in association with APTI Maharashtra State, and I sincerely thank APTI Maharashtra State and MSBT for their constant support. Further, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Shantanu for the next session. Thank you.
So I'll take your leave. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
So we'll be starting with the next session in continuation only. Hello. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Just give us a minute. We'll be starting with the session. Just a minute.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. So, ma'am, we'll start with our third session.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Shantanu Godke, on behalf of ER.As Institute of Pharmacy, would like to welcome you all for the third session of the day for MSBT approved National E-Faculty Development Program on implementing ER 2020 challenges and opportunities. So the topic for third session is objective and role of assignments. And for this topic, we have with us Dr. Anubha Khare ma'am. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Anubha Khare ma'am. Dr. Anuva is a visionary and successful leader with innovative approach and great team building capabilities. With her recent initiative as a founder of Platform Skilling and Careers LLP, she is working with pharma institutes and universities for 360-degree development of the pharmacy students to get them industry ready so as to improve their employability and also to develop their entrepreneurial skills. Dr. Anubha is an excellent mentor to startup ideas and provide end-to-end support and guidance to startup companies and young entrepreneurs under her initiative as the founder of ARQ Solutions LLP. She has a unique blend of experience from industry, academia, university positions, and entrepreneurship. Dr. Anubha is a pharmaceutical professional with 30 plus years of proven track record of working at very senior positions in the management of Indian and foreign multinational pharmaceutical companies, academic institutes, and the university. In the field of education, she worked for 10 years as principal of Pharmacy College. She was a university dean at Science and Technology for SNDT Women's University and head of the academic and affiliation functions of the university. She is a hardcore researcher, having developed more than 100 pharmaceutical products under her tenure with the industry, guided 33 masters and 6 PhD students. She holds 3 Indian patents and 64 research publications in the national and international peer-reviewed journals. She is a resource person and invited speaker to deliver scientific lectures and keynote addresses at conferences and various academic programs. So, with this brief introduction, I request Dr. Anubha Khare ma'am to start with her session.
Uh,
Over to you.
Thank you, Shantanu, for that wonderful introduction. Good afternoon to one and all present here. And before I start with my presentation, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the President of APTI Maharashtra State, Dr. Rakesh Somani, and the Secretary of APTI Maharashtra State, and also Principal of MIT's Institute of Pharmacy, Dr. Shirsagar, and the management of the institute to give me this wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts in front of you. So, for the ease of or the flawless presentation, can I close my video so that the bandwidth is maximum bandwidth is available?
Yes, ma'am, we can do that.
Okay, I'll do that, and then I will again reopen once the presentation is done.
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Is it visible, Shantanu?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible.
Okay. So, friends, I'm going to talk about roles and objectives of assignments. And I know it's a very uh, not very pleasant topic, correct? So when we say assignments, the word assignments, what would be the reaction of students as soon as you utter this word? I'm sure you agree with those frowns. Oh, why these assignments? We already sit in the classroom for so many hours and we have to complete journals. We have got unit test, or we have got Viva, which we have to appear. And now this is additional burden on us. So there is always kind of a reluctance from students' side to write any assignments, or, to submit any assignments. And I'm sure most of the time there is big no from their side. And what is the reaction of teachers when this word is uttered? I'm sure it's not different than shown in this picture. So teachers are going to think, oh my goodness, this is another headache. Now I've got lot of teaching load and I'm not able to complete my portion in the given time. Secondly, there is also a concern with respect to students not cooperating or not really very keen on giving assignments. So it's going to be a big challenge for me to get the assignments done and all that. So when neither the students and nor teachers really want to have assignments, then do we really need assignments? So let us look at the learning path for a student as shown in this slide. There is classroom teaching, which gives lot of time has been allotted for classroom teaching learning, which is say 45 hours to 60 hours to understand mainly the theoretical concepts. Then you students have practicals, where practicals or laboratory experiments, what we can say, for hands-on training of whatever they are actually learning, instrumentation and all that. Then there are tutorials, which are mainly meant for small group interactions in much informal ways. And then there are various uh, evaluation modes, such as Viva Voce. There is a unit test. There is now a concept of continuous assessment. And in addition to that, we are talking about assignments, and then the final examination, which the student has to appear. So if you see, there's a long way to go for a given topic, given curriculum for a student. And then a question coming to your mind, that for a given subject, or rather for a given topic, when there are so many exposure points to student, like classroom teaching, practicals, tutorials, exams, vivas, then why assignments again? What is the need for assignments? Really it is required, or it is going to be some burden? Now if you see, and that is what has been discussed throughout the day, even it was said by the honorable president in the president of APTI in the inaugural function, that basically the whole attempt is to align with NEP 2020, and that is how this ER 2020 has been created. And then of course PCI wants to get aligned with, in terms of curriculum, with all this. And that is how very emphatically PCI syllabus has introduced assignments. They have also introduced or mentioned how many assignments to be completed for that subject. So when all these big bodies, they are talking about assignments, I'm sure they must have given some deep thought process to introduce these assignments, and definitely not as just to increase the burden on the students or for the teachers. So uh, let us get into the deeper thought behind it. So, what is education? Let's go from the basic concept. Now, Albert Einstein has given a very nice statement or definition. He says, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of mind to think. right? So uh, teachers don't think that telling the theoretical facts or explaining the topic will fulfill imparting education. No, it's not that. It will not be completed unless student has been trained to think on on his own in a creative manner. So this is very important aspect that today we are talking about. And today the learning is not limited to only reciting the lessons or remembering the lessons, but it demands meaningful learning. So, what do you mean by meaningful learning? It is the act of higher order thinking and development through intellectual engagement. It can include, but is not limited to, critical and creative thinking, inquiry, and problem solving. So please understand, friends, that it's not the only remembering the things and getting marks that a student is going to complete his education unless the education or the unless the learning is meaningful. And when we say meaningful learning, you can see the highlighted word is intellectual engagement, and this intellectual engagement has to lead to a process of thinkings, self thinking, for a student. And that is how I would say the education will be, we can say it has a complete meaning. Now, let us understand why everyone, Pharmacy Council of India, accrediting bodies like NAC, NBA, and even the government is emphasizing on modern concepts of learning. The modern concepts of learning are important for meaningful learning, or to achieve that, and it has been adopted by NEP 2020. So let's see what is there in that. So we want to say no to rote learning. Okay, these modern tools are there, and the modern concepts are there to say no to rote learning. Now, what is rote learning? Is it just revolves around recalling and remembrance without understanding the subject. So if a student just remembers something and he is reproducing in the examination, he is getting marks. But there could be zero understanding of the subject. So we don't want this kind of a rote learning to happen. Uh, Here again, when we say rote learning, it is without applying to the real life scenario. And we have seen, we all have been, and you being teachers, you're aware that there's already a lot of damage which has been already done by rote learning. So uh, in rote learning, student, what happens is he'll complete successfully the course, but his creativity is completely shunted. So you can see in this cartoon where the teacher is saying good student, but he is the student is only with books, and the creativity he's just shunting or cutting down the creativity. I would say, see, we as teachers, we have to stop this. We as teachers, we have to play a very important role in shaping the generations, and we want to create tomorrow's leaders. We don't want to create tomorrow's followers. We want to create tomorrow's scientists. So where the there has to be very creative thinking which is required, and I'm sure that this responsibility of shaping the new generation lies with teachers, is lies with us. So how do we achieve this? Really, how do we achieve this objective? I'm sure now you all are with me that yes, we want to give our students the correct learning methodologies. How do we go about it? So I would say that adopting this new technique and learning tools, assignment is one of the effective tools. I'll also take through how it is effective. uh, In very simple words, if you have to define assignments or say what is assignment, it is a project or a piece of work that is assigned to someone as part of a job or a study course. And the purpose is to send in the concepts about the topic and enhance the knowledge in the area. Now, this simple definition, if we have to uh, go into deep, it has got a deep rooted objective. What is this deep rooted objective? It is to improve critical thinking of students through student engagement and self learning mode. So, the objective of assignments would be to improve critical thinking, and that is how it is going to the critical thinking would be then possible by engaging students and putting them into self learning mode. So let's see how this entire process happens, how the student engagement is so important and how it leads to self learning and thereby critical thinking. So we are discussing critical thinking through assignments. So you can see three wheels here. Our objective is shown in green as critical thinking. Now, student engagement, when we say uh, the assignments having the engagement of students, they are going to result into the points that have been shown here. So, what will happen is, as the student himself is involved, he will start organizing the ideas. He will start organizing the ideas. He will start, gathering some thoughts around these. And during this process, he will develop some logical, logical thinking about his ideas, about his concepts. Then going forward, he will also try to establish this logic, and then he'll start linking these ideas, and he will also further elaborate on his ideas. He takes it to the wider format, thinking about his idea. So this is just a seed of thought or seed of idea. He has learned in the process to think around it, get more logical concepts around this idea, link them, and further elaborate. Now then he goes into self learning mode. So as he enters the self learning mode, his focus on the topic will improve, because he there is one particular topic that he's thinking about, and now he wants to elaborate on that. Naturally, he is going to find some more information, maybe through books, maybe through digital media, but his focus would be that particular idea that is in mind. Then he will, since there is lot of information available, he will start reading selectively, because he cannot read everything available on this planet. So he will start reading selectively. So far he has been reading what what has been given in the textbook, or not even that, I would say what has been given by the teacher in notes. But now he starts reading extra, he starts reading around his idea a lot of information, and then he starts filtering also. He starts understanding what to read, how much to read, how much deeper to go. He understand what is the central argument or central idea or hypothesis that he's talking about. And then further, as he has created this in his mind, he then starts thinking how to introduce this topic. If it is a presentation, if it is a poster, if it is any role play, anything, he starts thinking how, what is the best way of presenting my idea, and what is that I should include, what is that I should omit, or maybe what styles I have to adopt. All that he starts thinking. And as a result, the blend of these two things would then result into expanding the knowledge base of the student and also improve students thinking, because so far he was just passively listening to what was told to him in the class, correct? And now he is on his own to think about the given topic, to think about his own idea. And that's how he is getting training of thinking. And then slowly he's also getting trained on careful sustained analysis of a subject. He himself is because he has got a lot of information, as I said, he's now filtering the information, he's seeing what is good, what should be presented, or what is the the outcome of the entire compilation of the information that he has. He's nothing but he is into the analytical mode. He understands how to analyze the information carefully, and that is what is actually leading him to critical thinking. And finally, critical thinking is then leading to meaningful learning. So as we said, we don't want to go for rote learning. Our students should have meaningful learning. So you can say, if you have very well structured assignments, then definitely you can lead your students or into critical thinking, and that is how you're going to finally achieve the goal of meaningful learning by your student. So let's see what are the advantages of assignments as such, or we can also coin it in a way that, how do you make the best assignments and what components it should have. So firstly, it contributes to the enhancement of brain. So we all know that if the brain is used, then it develops or it enhances. If it is not used, it will not develop. So when you have such inclusive assignments, definitely student will get a chance to think about it, and when he's thinking and learns critical thinking, naturally there is enhancement of the brain activity. It will also improve his practical skills. Now the assignment, if you go for or design an assignment which is application oriented, when we say practical skills, it doesn't mean some laboratory skills. Practical skills is even if the presentations or talking in a group, these are also practical skills. So while he is working on such inclusive assignments, he is naturally going to develop his practical skills around it. Then it will also boost his focus, as he would gather information on a subject or a topic, and in a very objective manner. We said that he will think around, he'll collect a lot of information, so finally he is collating it into some focal point, and that is how we can say that it's going to boost his focus. Developing and organizing develops organizing and planning skills for students. If you design such creative assignments, so basically, if your assignment has got series of activities, then a student will learn to prioritize those, or to bring a typical flow in the entire thing, or maybe even a group activity. If the assignment is as a group activity, then again there will be they will learn to plan the things, they will learn to organize, team building will happen. So all these would be the part of the development of organizing skills. Further, it will add to the gain, or it will result into the gaining of knowledge and awareness. Now, if you see the difference between knowledge and awareness, so knowledge, one cannot have deep knowledge in many things. Okay, so the we always say that the subject knowledge. So pharmacy student will have knowledge related to pharmacy, But it is very important that our students are aware of the, the current happenings, or the aware of the lot of things which are required for his real life, to lead his real life. Okay, so it is very important that we widen the horizon of awareness for a student, and when he is working on such assignments, in addition to gain of a knowledge, there will be a lot of awareness that will be getting created in the mind of the student. There is also enhancement of the cognitive and analytical skills, as we have seen how critical thinking is getting getting improved or boosted, and with that, definitely the analytical skills are going to go up. uh, with the creative assignments, you have the student will develop research skills. So research skill doesn't mean that I'm referring to research which is done in the laboratory. If a student is searching for a lot of information around some idea or for a given topic, even that is kind of research. So student learns how to research, how to collect information, information about various topics or the given subject, and he also learns how to utilize that information. So it's, in short, he's improving his research skills. Assignments is again a best way for or a tool for time management lessons. When you give assignments, you can always give them some time bound, a time bound assignment, so that they learn the value of time. They learn to complete the task within the given time, and also with assignments they learn, because they have to balance their routine learning schedule, so they will also learn how to balance that. Then additionally, I would say the learning with real life concepts is something which you can give to your students through assignments. Now real life concepts, it's very important for students to learn these real life concepts, because that is the reality that they are going to face tomorrow when they are out in the job market, or when they are they complete their education, and they are actually working maybe as an industry, maybe their own activity, whatever. But then that is going to be the reality, and hence learning with the real life concepts is very very important aspect, and that can come through the the creative assignments. So when we're talking about assignments really helping your students in creative thinking, and as a modern learning tool, and for taking the students to meaningful learning, how do you really design assignments? So first thing, when you give an assignment to a student, you have to explain the basic points beforehand. So give them clear, or give them good clarity about the whole thing. See to it that the assignment that you are giving is doable. Don't give assignment or a task which is something which is not feasible for the student, or it is just impossible. So if you do so, it will lead to, it will have reverse effect. It will lead to frustration for the student, or it can result into loss of interest by the student. So your assignment has to be doable, and remember, it should be in inclusive mode. Always remember that your assignment has to be in inclusive mode, because we have seen that that is the first step for self learning and then creative thinking. So never ever miss this point while you're creating your assignments. It should lead to curiosity, interest in the minds of students. Now there are various ways how you can create curiosity, interest in the minds of students. For example, maybe now you have so many say drugs, you have so many uh, models in your syllabus. If you're giving some assignment, you can always tell them a interesting story or create an interesting story around that particular thing, and you can tell students, so the student also feels curious about it. He feels curious, he wants to explore more, learn more about it, and then you put it in front of him as an assignment. So definitely he, you have seen the first picture where student has got frowns on her forehead. That picture will not be there. Student would come forward taking interest that yes, ma'am, I want to do this, or sir, I want to participate in this. So you have to create that kind of interest in the mind of students and create competitive environment. Now competitive environment is necessary so that student tries to excel in the assignment. He wants to give his best for the assignment. But my suggestion, never, I mean, unless and until it is uh, mentioned in the, or it is required by the syllabus, don't give them marks for assignment. Yes, if your syllabus says give marks, then only give marks. Otherwise, assignments, you can create competitive environment even without giving rewards of marks or money. So how do you do that? Maybe, for example, if you have asked students to write some report, or you have asked them to write some abstract, then you can tell them that first three best abstracts will be published in the college newsletter, and that is the great motivation for them. So always give treats, or always give rewards, which will not be a kind of materialistic, or avoid giving them in terms of marks, because that's how the whole rote learning is getting triggered. So unless and until, again I mention, unless and until mentioned in the syllabus, don't give marks, but use some other ways. And make it a time bound process. Give some time, completion time for that uh, particular assignment. Now, when you are giving them time, give them reasonable deadlines. Don't give a topic and say that I want assignment by tomorrow, or in 2 days. Okay, because then if they do not get enough time to explore, then they will also do some half-heartedly some work and they will submit. So give them sufficient time, and see to it that they are not overburdened. So just look at their schedule. We only create their timetable or schedule. So just look at your examination schedules, look at your other class things. If required, give them little, if say if it's a group assignment, you can give them little time. If you think that they're not getting time because of other workload, maybe out of your lecture you can give them some 15 minutes to sit together and work on in on it as a group discussion, or in a group to complete that assignment. So be with them while they're completing their assignments, and just don't ask them for assignments. Like, you are being a part of it, being a teacher, of course, not for spoon feeding but for hand holding. So if you do some hand holding, if you guide them on their path, I'm sure students will also take equal interest if you are taking. So, what would be inclusive types of assignment? So, inclusive types of assignment could be something like abstract writing. I just now said that, maybe there is some article you can ask them to, compress into a brief abstract, or maybe you give them topics, ask them to present it. So when they're doing presentations also, or before they prepare presentations, give them some tips how they should present it, how they should make a ppt, and all those things. So it is, as we said, the other areas or other soft skills of the student also getting developed. You can give them case studies. So you can give them case studies, and then the case studies based questions they can answer. Maybe they can answer in a group, or they can answer in a class, or you can ask them to put it on a paper, whatever. But let it be some good case studies, so that a student doesn't get direct answer, but he has to really think, and then come out with the answer. You can ask for report writing. So report writing, I would say you should always select topics which are very current, which are ongoing topics, and they are not a part of curriculum. So you can ask them for report writing, you can ask them for storytelling. So this is something which students love, because they like to talk, they like to interact. So you can ask them for storytelling. So maybe say, because this is, we're talking about pharmacy, so maybe a story of the development of first vaccine, or story of someone who has saved number of lives through his service. So all such kinds of, you can ask them to find out, or some on the related topic, present some stories, and I'm sure they would participate, and in the process they learn a lot. There could be role plays. Now role plays are always liked by students. They can write scripts, so you're especially the various diseases, so information on various diseases, it's the best way that they they create some role plays, and they write some script, and that's how they learn. So these are all atypical ways of teaching learning, and definitely this can lead to a lot of creative thinking if you are designing your assignments in a very proper and smart way. So I'm just going to take two case studies from your syllabus. uh, Under pharmaceutical chemistry, there is one uh, assignment mentioned as different monographs and formularies available and their major contents. Now you as a teacher, you may create an assignment saying, write down the below questions. What are different types of monographs? What are the major contents of pharmacopoeia? And write a note on the formularies. So according to the teacher, all the three aspects that have been mentioned here, uh, they have been covered. But do you think that if you are giving them such kind of assignment and the student is writing such kind of assignment, is there going to be any creative thinking? What they will do, they will just take some book, or they will just take your notes, and that too only one or two good students will do that. They will write all the three answers, they will take a picture, and everybody will copy that. So what is the objective? So everybody has just put in time writing that. You are going to put in time just collecting those assignments, and what is the where is the outcome? So I would not recommend such kind of assignments. So for the same objective, different monographs and formularies available and their major contents, you can frame assignments in a different way. I'll just give an example. For example, in pharmaceutical chemistry, I've seen the syllabus, they have so many drugs which are there for study. So you can maybe you can list out some 10, 15 number of names of the drugs from that, and you can ask them to maybe refer various pharmacopoeias, and ask them to prepare a chart mentioning as which one, which drug is official in which a particular pharmacopoeia, which addendum, so they can make a chart. So in the process, what will happen, you have just given the list of drugs. They have to go and check each and every pharmacopoeia. I mean, there are whatever 2 3 pharmacopoeias that you have, they will open and see. So during the process, they will learn how to search in the index, how to see the index of pharmacopoeia. Then they will see, and they will find that some drug, or some drugs are official in some of the pharmacopoeias and they are not in the other. They will also learn about the revisions or addendums, correct? So that is one of the assignments. You can ask them to select any general topic in the pharmacopoeia, and ask them to give a brief talk. Now, there are excellent topics, general topics in pharmacopoeia. So when you ask them to select it on their own, they have to think. what is that I should now select, what will be suitable for, or what is that I like to present, correct? So they will go through all the general topics, and they will come out with something, some one topic, and they'll prepare on that. But your objective is served. You wanted them to go through different pharmacopoeias. You wanted to understand various general topics or contents of pharmacopoeia, which you have done you know indirectly and very successfully. Now again, you may have you can even make some, as a group activity, you make groups, and then you ask them to maybe if a particular drug, if it is official in some 2 3 pharmacopoeias, you can give such names of the drugs to them, and you can ask them to study individual by individual group, and then discuss the differences in the monographs with respect to their limits or with respect to testing methodologies. So your intention of them to understand about the different monographs is fulfilled. And here you will find that throughout the student is active, or he is he is participating in the whole process. So that is how you should be framing your assignments. I'm just giving you one more case study. Your pharmacognosy syllabus says market preparations of various herbal formulations and herbal cosmetics, indications, and their labeling requirements as as under the assignments. So a teacher might think, assignment in this way: write answers to the following questions, elaborate on various herbal preparations with examples of marketed products, discuss in brief any two herbal cosmetics, state the labeling requirements of herbal products. So, and then teacher wants students to write the answers. Now what is going to happen? Again, one or two good students, they will, from the notes or from the textbooks or from the digital information, they are going to write these answers. And again the same story will repeat. Students, rest of the class will take pictures, they everybody will write, and they will submit their assignments. So for them the job is done, for the teacher the job is done. But where is the objective? The objective is not achieved, the goal is not achieved, correct? So in this case, I would again say this method is not recommended. So how do you go about? uh, you may say that where practically also it is not possible to do, where we can get, if you talk about cosmetic preparations, a lot of excipients, chemicals will be required. But you assume, I mean, this is the experiment I have myself done, and I have found fantastic results when students did this. You tell them that, you give them a list of cosmetic formulations. I mean, like including your say sunscreen, creams, your say nail polish, then lot of cosmetics whatever available, face wash, body wash, or face pack, all that. So you give them a list, let them select, and then make groups. You can ask them, I'm just giving an example. And then this is what I actually practiced. I asked them to create a product on the paper. So it's not going to the laboratory, but create a product on the paper, where they have to also make it competitive with some marketed product. And you make it on the paper as a form of a formulation. So it's paper based formula, where you will justify each and every ingredient, why you are using it. You will also write the brand name of the excipient, and just not the the generic name of the excipient. You will also write the grade of the excipient that you are going to use, and you're going to mention why that particular grade you are using. And then finally, uh, you make it as a product that you're going to sell it in the market, where you will have your pack designed with the label. So my experience was the students enjoyed this activity so much, and they came out with such, fabulous products on paper, and they had every reason why their product is better than even Unilever product. So they had points to argue why their product is good, how their product is more economical, and how their pricing is also much cheaper as compared to the marketed competitors product. So this is the kind of involvement you can create, in their mind. And I'm sure if that is the scope we give to the students, they will not say no. They definitely, they like this kind of activity. They want to get more of the involvement, and they would happily do the assignments. So finally, friends, the whole objective is, I would say assignment is a very powerful tool which you can actually make them learn in a very progressive manner, in a practical way. And what we are talking about is critical thinking. So you can lead them to critical thinking and a meaningful learning, which is the ultimate goal of NEP 50/50 2020. So that is what is we are actually we can achieve through the assignments which are inclusive type of assignments. So with this, I thank you all for your patient listening. And my thanks to the organizers team, HOD, Dr. Mayur Sawant and Shantanu. They have been always supporting continuously, for flawless streaming of the whole session. And with the permission of the organizers, I would like to show one last slide. And I'm showing that last slide because it is very relevant to what we are discussing. And it's a initiative of mine with my partner, Miss Grita Srinivasan, where we have come up with this mission of 360-degree development of pharma students, under or on the platform of Platform Skilling and Careers LLP. And it's one of this kind of a forum of pharmacy that we are offering. Why I'm mentioning here is not a kind of advertisement, but it is, the entire focus after putting so many years in industry, in academia. What I have learned is it's very much necessary to, to do the hand holding of the students, especially for selecting or guiding them for their career, for guiding them for the overseas education, mentoring, then how to write resume. So we are doing all this, in a collaboration with the institute, with the universities, so that they also can complete their COPO mapping and the of bridging the gap. So we are with the institute, with the universities, and we are using very latest tools, like AI based interview simulator for interview practice by students. We are helping not only B Farm but also diploma pharmacy students by creating some skilling and typically learning modules which are experiential learning based. And the entire idea or the whole exercise or efforts are to make the students industry ready, and which will finally result into excellent placements, and that is our ultimate goal. So with that, I stop my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a very informative session. Uh, Ma'am, so shall we move towards the next session of our topic, that is the question answer session?
Sure. Yeah.
So we have few questions from the participants. So the
Okay.
first question is from Mr. Surendra. So he has
Mhm.
asked, what is the assessment criteria of these assignments?
See, assessment criteria, as I said, you can decide by yourself based on the assignment. Now, assessment criteria, you can always, initially you can design. For example, you can see if, there are, I'll take up the second example that I have already given, and it is quite elaborate as a group activity. So there you can see what is the kind of information or content that they have collected. If they are, I'm referring to the cosmetics group activity as an assignment. So there you can see how they have learned about the various excipients, how they have collected, or enough information they have collected on that. And see, again, when we are saying assessment, uh, again, the if you are making them give presentation, then that presentation, again, apart from information, also in addition to that, how they are presenting, so how they have put up all the information, how they have created their product, all that is there. But at the same time, we being a teacher don't look at everything from the point of assessment. Even if you give 0 marks, or even if you say, you assess the whole thing and you say a particular group has not performed as good as other four groups, but then what value addition has happened to the that particular group students is enormous. Whether you assess, you as a teacher assess or you don't assess, the value addition that has happened is enormous. So I think that's the answer. And we being teachers, we always look at the thing from assessment point of view, but we have to also think sometimes from the gain that a student is getting out of it. And we can leave sometimes the assessment, to the I would say almighty. I mean, we are nobody to assess.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We have another question. So the question is, most of the time students cannot identify the correct source of information for an assignment. So how can we guide as a teacher to guide them for collection of the data for an assignment?
Okay, so when we give them an assignment, that's what I said, that you have to create an assignment. It's before you create an assignment, I mean, before you allot any assignment, you create the assignment. You yourself see that there is data easily available to them, means from whatever sources, maybe from internet, maybe from some periodicals that you have in the college. Just make sure, or just have a look that you are not asking something that a student will never find as an information. If you are going to ask them to make some market research report, for example, I mean, today we also cannot make such report unless and until we subscribe some data on a paid basis. Correct? So you cannot expect students to do that. So very importantly, see to it that what you are asking, that's what the point was, it is doable. Now, before you, I mean, if it is the first such kind of an exercise that students are going to do, then you have to do some hand holding. You cannot, or you should not just give them topics and say that, see, these are the topics, find information, make one report or make one abstract, something like that. You should take them. Maybe you can, I'm sure every college has computer lab, and you can take them there, or you can show on your mobile. You can show them various databases which are free, because you shouldn't be actually making them spend on that. So I'm sure many of the colleges also have the e-libraries and all those things. So you can guide them where they will find this data. You don't spoon feed with the data, but you just do hand holding, telling them, look, this is how, these are the website, or these are the area of links where you can go, you can find some data. So if you have to do that hand holding, and if you are also not able to find that information, please don't give such assignments to students.
Thank you, ma'am. So, thank you, ma'am, for such a wonderful and knowledgeable session. Okay, I
Thank
can
you. My pleasure.
surely say that all of us have learned various things from this session. So,
Thank you, Shantanu.
On behalf of ER.As Institute of Pharmacy, I would like to propose a vote of thanks for today's session. So, I thank MSBT and APTI, uh, Maharashtra State, for their constant support throughout the process of organization of the FDP. I would also like to thank all the delegates for attending sessions of day one. With this, I declare the end of today's session. Tomorrow we will resume with the next session, which will begin sharp at 10:15 a.m. in the morning. So I request all to join the session on time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
So,